there are other things I want in my life that are not necessarily in my life right now. And how do I realign my career with some of those things outside of my career that I might have been ignoring, whether it's my health or my relationships or something else. And so doing more work both with my own coaching and to share the framework and the tools with those who coach others, because I think, to your point, there are a lot of frameworks out there, but it's such an individual approach to make a decision, and no one framework is going to resonate perfectly with everyone. I think what we've heard about our framework is that it's really helpful for couples. And so
Hmm.
much of the coaching world, it's, you have one client, right? It's rare that unless it's a therapist, works with a couple. And so the tools and the exercises have, it sounds like, been very useful for folks who are making career decisions in the context of a long-term relationship, because two people are very affected by even one person's career decision in that case.
Yeah. And that also seems to me, I mean, my hypothesis on this whole COVID and people now being stuck at home and the pandemic obviously creates fears. I think people reevaluate the importance of health and make them more realize the finite that we have, because maybe things may have happened to their friends or family who were impacted by this. And so this whole mental crisis, I think, is one because we're locked in the houses. And so when we get constrained between walls, I think we humans don't like to still be sort of put in boxes that we don't know what to do with. So that's for sure one. But I think, again, it made people reevaluate a little bit more of what's important and what they want to create next. So it seems like the timing is quite impeccable. Did you time it that way? Like, or was it just coincidence? Like when you started writing, it seems like you've been writing it for a while and just sort of turned out, well, this book came out. But it seems like the timing with what's going on in the world is perfect in many ways.
I mean, no, we did not orchestrate that. My co-author taught her class for almost 50 years at Stanford, and then she retired, and then we started working on this. And then, yeah, it did come out at a time where people were reevaluating all their big priorities. Maybe they had a grueling commute that they no longer had to take. And then when that commute came back, even a couple days a week, it felt like, oh, maybe this is not what I want to return to, or maybe I got to take a moment to think without being on, planes traveling all the time. And that moment to think is causing me to reevaluate things. So I think you're right. And I certainly know the importance of, I think that health is wealth. And when you have a moment where you don't have health, or someone that you love loses, some of their abilities or health, it is very stark, and it's a big reminder to rearrange your priorities. And so that's also a reason that I made the shift that when I did. I really believe that your body is going to talk to you louder and louder if something's not in alignment until you listen. And so I've had my own experiences with that. I ended up getting shingles before I was 40 because there were things that I could not address with yoga and, the occasional massage alone, right? Like there is accumulation of stress that, you need to start to address head on if you really want to change things. And so I feel like I've been on this own personal journey, and I know lots of others, to your point, who have been on that at this time. So we did not time it that way, but I'm really glad that our book is a resource for people right now who are making some of those big decisions about realigning their lives.
Yeah, maybe I need to go back and write down my list of priorities. Abby, I could talk to you for hours. I think this is super interesting topic, but I know you treasure your time. I know we're already over, but maybe last few questions closing. The world is a little bit and it seems to be in turmoil. Hopefully we can get things under control, even with the wars and the economy stabilizing, but there's lots going on in the world. What would you want to inspire people to be doing more of or less of?
I mean, I think that list of what's important to you is so critical just to know, right? Because it's so often we get on autopilot. There are times in your life where you have to just put one foot in front of the other. I've certainly been in those times when all you can do is get out of bed and do what you need to do and like drag yourself in bed at the end of the day. Not to say that there's not moments where you have to put your head down and do that, but especially when there's so much turmoil in the world, I think we owe it to ourselves to be crystal clear on the values that are important to us and taking action to get closer to those values. And I especially feel the weight of that now as a parent to help my kids identify their values, to make sure that some of our values actually get passed on to them. And so we've started to do more in our own communities to show our kids that it's not enough to just, show up and pay taxes, that you have to actually take steps to help the world become the kind of place you want to live in. So I think that in order to do that for anyone else, you first have to get clear on what world is the kind of place you want to live in, and then think about what can you do to help shift that.
Love it. And so, last but not least, people who want to contact you or follow you, what's the best way to reach you and stay on top of some of the interesting information and research you've been creating and building?
I have a newsletter that I write regularly on Substack. It's called Practically Deliberate. And so that's a way for people to read more of my writing and new insights. And then I generally share tidbits of that on LinkedIn as well as other things that I'm up to.